Today's class is your app files from start to finish. I am going to go over from the home window to your settings to how to set up an app file, all the different ways to utilize your app file folder, and how to interact with your actual staff members. That's the most important part of this app file program. It's your file management system, allows you to put all documents into one place and also share with users along with your staff, which is super important. To first get started, the home window of app files, if you're fairly new to it, I know there's a few people who are new, it's pretty straightforward. Your button at the top for home brings you to this primary window. The My App Files tab is all of your current app files that you have active in your system. You can also search them by name. So naming convention is extremely important. I will bring this up numerous times. Naming conventions are important. Signature request. If you have an outbound signature going out through app files, you can track the progress of it. You can resend it. You can delete it. You can check all statuses of signatures. Also, the really important thing that I wish more people knew about, every signature request in an app file, there's a link tied to it. So if you send it to somebody and they say they have not received the signature request, you can send the link to them as a second precaution so that they know they get it. That's what's extremely important. All right, move my Zoom window out of the way. Next is your My Inbox. Now I will negate this. You will not use this inbox on your app files because in the settings, we are going to have communication in app files pushed to your Harry Norman email. The reason why this is important, you want it all in one centralized place, but you also want your contacts to receive from Harry Norman for peace of mind, that it's not coming from multiple places. So this will be taken care of in settings. Activity. Activity is everything that you're doing through app files, whether it's you're sending for signature requests, changing the file type of your folders, sending an email with your PDF for someone to review. This is basically just a status check of all the things that you're doing in your app file folder. Last is your task. Now, some offices use this a lot more than others, but tasks are your checkpoint with your staff or other users of your app file folders. So for instance, if you submit a contract and you are missing a document, your staff members can put a task in to your app files saying, hey, Drew, I noticed that you're missing this doc. You can check the task, put the document in, and respond to your staff members. That's what tasks are. Like I said, some offices use tasks more than others. I know in this office here at West Cobb, the actual staff member literally sends text messages and calls, so I understand. And that is your main top navigation of app files. Now you'll notice a lot of these items are reiterated throughout this page. On your right side is all your app files that are currently going on. In the center, you have your recent activity, which is your activity tab. You have at the top here your tasks that are going on, that are requests from your users or your staff members. Now, if you run into anything as far as documents or something that seems off, AppFile support is amazing. Their response time is incredible, and they will get back to you even on the weekends. So just keep that in mind. If you see something out of place, put in a ticket with AppFile support. They are phenomenal. Okay, another quick item to let y'all know about, you can also print blank forms from AppFiles as well. You can click on the blank forms. You can search for the document that you need, and you can print that document. So when in doubt, or if you're in a pinch, totally understand. I know a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll print the buyer brokerage agreement so they can go over it with their clients. This is a place where you can get that document to print. Okay, if y'all are fairly new to Harry Norman, or you haven't updated your settings in a long time in AppFiles, over at the top left side under settings is where you can line up all your primary settings from your signature, checking to make sure the email's right, to make sure your contact information's right. So it's really just a one-time thing unless you're updating your signatures. So I'm going to click on settings. in this window, you'll have these options on your left side just to check to make sure they're right. Okay. First things first, your display name, make sure it's your correct name. If you have a new last name because you've gotten married, if you are a third, a junior, a senior, put it into place. User photo. Here at Harry Norman, we have an incredible photographer. Katie Weeks is awesome. I recommend, if you haven't had a headshot update in a while, put yourself on the schedule to have your picture taken with Katie. She really does a great job. To have this uploaded, you're going to click on the browse button. Let me see if I can switch my share. Zoom is not my best friend all the time. Pop up, select the item that's your headshot, have it somewhere easy to get, like your desktop, hit open, and start your upload, put your headshot into place. Okay, it'll update, picture goes into place. All right. Next, cell phone. Make sure your cell phone is correct. Some people have checked in with me saying that their desk lines were showing up there. Make sure it's your cell phone because you want that kind of connection. Email address and settings. Now, this is the part I was discussing earlier involving the inbox for your AppFiles account. Make sure your primary email is your Harry Norman. If you're new to Harry Norman, this is totally just a recommendation from myself. Click on the copy my primary email address on all emails sent through AppFiles so that you know when it hits, an email hits to your clients. That way you can actually date one of your items. Okay, a lot of people say, hey, my client's saying they didn't receive it. You can say, hey, in my email, I see that the email hit at 2 o'clock. Please check your emails for 2 o'clock. That's really important with this. I think I've got a quick question. Yeah, if you're not muted, please hit your mute button. You have someone saying that it's a little bit of a kickback. All right, so also in your settings, there's an option here that says spoof your email address for sending via AppFiles. This is what I mean by the inbox. This is going to come from your Harry Norman email rather than the obscure email address that AppFiles has. I recommend it heavily. I've seen a few people say that it says in this description down below that it could show up as spam. In the 3.5 years that I've taught AppFiles, I've only had that happen once or twice. And it was because the person had extremely high filtering of their emails. So don't be worried. Email footers. This is fairly simple. Check and make sure it's the right signature for you. When you set up your AppFiles footer, this disclaimer for wire fraud will populate for you. You do not have to write it, okay? I have a lot of people ask me that. To put your signature into place, you're going to open up your email address, your email. Oh, got somebody's, here, I'm just gonna do a few mutes here real quick. Okay, you're gonna open up your email. Where did it go? There we go. You're going to put in the email address from your app file right here. It says copy. You're going to confirm your copy. And you're going to paste, and you're going to send your signature to AppFiles. Just your signature. That's it. And in this subject line, you can just put SIG. It really does not matter. It's all about getting your signature into AppFiles. If you're a part of a team, make sure it says it correctly. If you have a certain number that you prefer, office information, make sure it goes in. You'll click send to send that email into AppFiles. Now, I've had a few people say that sometimes there's some kind of formatting code that shows up. If that happens, use the email.harrynorman browser URL. It works every time. I'm going to hit send. From this window, if you want to make sure that the signature goes into place, you will close it and you will refresh your window to make sure your signature is put into place. Go into settings, go to email footer, and it will be up to date. You need to refresh the window. Okay. Do I have any questions about this? I get this, a lot of people get hung up on their signatures. The trick is open your Harry Norman email, copy this email address, send your signature into your app files, and it will show up in place. Look through a few headshots, make sure. Okay. If y'all have any questions, take yourself off mute. If y'all don't know me already, I love answering anything that comes up. All right. The last thing in your settings that you want to make sure is correct is you're making sure your default mobile view is actually on full desktop view. The odds that you're going to use your phone for this kind of work is rare. And what this does is it makes sure the formatting is set to desktop view. That's what it's all about. I only know 2 or 3 people who use their phone for this, and they have a hard time. So, and those are your primary settings for Harry Norman's app files. Last thing I want to cover, and it's totally just a recommendation. On your far left side, you'll see there is form values. When you click on form values, you will have a drop down of all the primary documents that you use in transactions. The reason why form values is really important, you can pre-fill in information one time, and every time you use this document, it will have this filled in. An example of this, I'm going to go to your buyer brokerage. And I'm just going to go to 6 of 10 because I know my contact information is on here. And you'll see under my contact information, I pre-filled in some information so that I don't have to write it. Now, this will last for a whole entire year. The reason why this statement's important, in January 2022, these forms will be updated and you will have to do this again. But a 1 day of knocking this out will last you all year long, okay? So bring up your primary documents, your purchase and sale, your buyer brokerage agreement, all those docs you use, and find areas where you can pre-fill in some information to last you long term. One evening of filling in information makes a world of difference. That way you don't have to write it every time. This also will come in extremely important when you're importing values onto other documents, and I'll show you how to do that. It'll be more data that you can move to another doc. Do I have any questions about using form values, or actually using this particular form values link?
Just a quick question, Drew.
Of course.
If a form doesn't change from year to year, does it still clear so we need to go back in and repopulate?
No, only if it's being replaced with something new will it drop that information.
Okay, and is it pretty commonplace that every year the forms do change?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
January, you'll see brokers like Shay Zimmerman and all these other major hitters. They teach classes on the updated forms. So you'll know when they teach those courses what are being updated. And the truth is, taking a couple minutes, checking to see if those documents have empty fields, it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it because it's going to help you all year long. Yeah. Great question. Thank you, Stuart. Do I have any more questions about form values? This is an evening, sit down, knock it out. It'll help you long term. Okay. All right. So far I've covered the primary navigation. I've covered your settings. I pointed out that you can print blank forms and you can also fill in your form values, and I'll show you why that's important. Now I'm going to create a brand new app file. And an app file isn't really based around a transaction. It's based on your client. You're going to create an app file for Joe, not because of 123 Bay Street, it's your contact. So that's what we're going to do first. On the far left side where it says create new app file, I'm going to start a base app file. Now I will recommend after this class, create a test app file folder. Go through the motions, see how everything goes into place so that you're comfortable using this so you don't test it on one of your clients. That's just my recommendation. Your staff members won't see the folder unless you turn it in. So I heavily recommend creating a test account. All right. So I'm creating a brand new app file. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to name it. And today I'm going to be using Chris Tomlin as my example. Okay. Chris Tomlin will be my buyer and he will be my folder. So I will choose my file type for Chris. He will be a buyer for now. All right. When you create an app file folder in this window, this is your info field. Okay. This is information you can utilize again when you are using form values. So filling in as much as you can will only help you. So I'll start off by filling myself in as the selling agent. My buyer's name, of course, is Chris Tomlin. His wife is Susan Tomlin. His email address is ctomlin@gmail. And anything else that you can pre-fill in will help you because you can import that data later on. I'm going to scroll down and I'll click next to go to my next window before I create my app file. All right. So this is your user part. If you're a part of a team, if you are, you have somebody that's a mentor and you want them to have access to your app file folder, you can add them. They're going to be over here on the left side from your office. This green button pushes them to the right side and they will have access to your folder for app files. Okay. Now I will tell you, your staff members are usually already have access. So they'll be here on your right side. But if it's somebody a part of a team, husband and wife, large team, you know, couple, whatever you're doing, and you want to share access, they're over here on the left side. You just click the green button, they get added over here. Here's an example. You'll see Addie Rush is now has access to my app file folder. Okay. You can remove them fairly easy as well. And that's the last step before you hit the create app file button. And here's your app file folder. So you created a new app file folder, you named it your contact, you pre-filled in some information because you're going to use this information in other areas. That's what we've done. Now, power users of app files, they take advantage of those info fields early. An example of this, let me move my little window out of the way. It really doesn't make it easy. Over here on your right side, you'll notice there's file info fields for lender information, listing broker, master buyer template. This is information you can pre-fill in to pull into other documents. So say your client has been pre-approved and they're using a lender. Let's click edit here. And you start putting in your lender information that they're working with. For instance, Prosperity Mortgage. I'm just going to 123 Bay Street as an example. Phone number 770-686-6992. Officer name we'll just say is Catherine Duckett. Okay. kduckett@gmail.com or prosperity.com. So what I'm doing is I'm pre-filling some information so that when I have a document that's looking for the lender information, I can import that value later on. All I have to do is close it out and you'll see on the right side, I have some information that's now incorporated into my info field. People who use app files religiously, that's the very first thing they do. They take all the information they know about their contact and they start putting it in on the right side because they know they're going to use it on other documents, whether it's a purchase and sale, a counter offer, whatever. They want to make it easier on themselves, quicker using app files. So this is one of the areas you can pull information from. Same with the master buyer. You'll notice master buyer has a lot of information you can pre-fill in right here. So it's the buyer's home address, 123. We'll just do Basket Drive. I just want to show how this populates later on. My buyer name, of course, is Chris Tomlin. Oops. And when I close this out, more information has been populated on the right side that I can pull into my docs. Everybody understand what I'm doing? I've got my app file folder. I'm putting in information that I know I'm going to use for other docs. So it's in one centralized place. Okay. Have any questions? Everybody's kind of getting quiet on me. That's okay. I usually get more questions during my CRM class, so I get it. All right. So now that I've done some of the pre stuff, I'm pre-filling in information, I need to go into my actual active items, like adding forms. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my buyer brokerage to this app file folder. I need to get Chris to sign it so that our agreement is there. On the far left side, you'll see where it says add forms. Now, what was so important earlier about my form values, those documents that I had filled in some information in advance will already be filled in on these docs that I pull into this app file. So over here on the left side, I'm going to search for my buyer brokerage. I typed it before, obviously. I'm going to type in buyer, and you'll see exclusive buyer brokerage is now one of the items I'm looking for. If you click on it, it gets added over to the right side to be an added form to my app files. Now, if you add two documents at the same time, they will temporarily be merged together. And I'll show an example of that in a second. So I'm going to click on the green button down here that it says add selected form to my app files folder. Now, if it doesn't immediately go in, it's probably going to prompt you to put in your GAR number. Okay. I believe that's the number it's asking for. Just have that readily available if you haven't used app files before or been in. I'm going to add my selected form. And here it is. Here's my buyer brokerage. Okay. Not only does it populate and pop up, it also shows over on the left side under your general paperwork. So you can close this and open it just as easy as you'd like. Close it, open document right here. Okay. All right. So one thing I want to point out, naming conventions are extremely important. Make sure you name your documents correctly. Make them easier for your staff members to find what they need to checkpoint your contracts. At the very top of every one of the items you add to app files, you'll see there's a pencil mark right here. You can change the name of the document. So if this is your exclusive buyer brokerage agreement for Chris Tomlin, that's what I'm doing. I'm naming it in a convention. Now, some offices are a little bit different, so I recommend check with your office staff and ask them what they would prefer it to be named. If it's an offer that you're placing and your staff members want the actual address to be there, do that. Make sure your address is in the name of each item. Exhibit B, 123 Bay Street, or whatever they would like, make sure you name it right. I'm going to click the checkbox right next to it, and the name has been saved to this doc. Okay. So if you haven't used app files for sending out signature requests, say I have this document completely filled in and I'm ready to send to Chris for signing. Over here in the center, you'll notice that you can sign the document yourself right now as the agent involved in this transaction. And you can also send signature for this doc. Now, one thing I will recommend for those of you who are fairly new to app files, practice sending it to yourself so you see how the link comes to you. So that when someone asks you, what is it going to look like? You can explain to them, hey, it's going to look like an email with the link in it, and you're going to click on it and you're going to be prompted to sign the signature of this doc. So to do this, you're going to click on request signature. Scroll down a little bit here. Start signature request here at the bottom. Now, what's different from your DocuSigns and the loops is that in app files, you send directly per contact. Okay, so the very first one, you're going to type Chris Tomlin, make sure you spell their whole name out with junior or the third, make sure it's completely written out. And you're going to select buyer signature 1, and you're going to send his signature request. And if you need to send one to Susan, his wife, you will do the signature request again, Susan Tomlin, and you will select signature 2. That's the only thing different. So you're going to track the 2 signatures separately, not in a cycle.
Drew, another question, please.
Of course.
So if you have 2 buyers, husband and wife, for example, do you first send, if the first signature is Chris, and by the way, I hope you did sell him his house because I've seen it in Franklin and it's insane.
I'm glad you got that.
Yes, it's amazing. But do you send it first to Chris and then you start the whole process over again to send to Susan or the?
Exactly. Yeah, they're
Okay.
2 separate signature requests.
Okay.
So yes, you would go through the process like this. I'll go ahead and finish it. I'll click next. If I needed to set a brokerage engagement date and time, since this is a buyer brokerage, I have a strong connection with Chris. I'm not going to force a timeline on him, so I don't have to select this. I would click next. Here's the actual communication that will go to Chris. Now you can change the text all that you want. You could say, hey, Chris, enjoyed showing you the homes in Canton. We had a great time. Thanks for lunch. The one thing you can't mess with is the link right here, because that's the link for the signature. And then you'll type in his email address. Let me see, I'm just gonna put in here. After you have it all ready, you hit next. If you need to add one of your users to this signature request, you can, so they know when it went out. And lastly, you request the signature. Now, if I need for Susan now to sign, so here's the active signature for Chris that's out, I would start the signature request again. And this time I would type in Susan Tomlin, buyer signature 2, and go through the same process again and send to her. I mean, it really is only 3 next or 4 next, and it's sent out. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, it's the only thing that's different than the loop situation or DocuSign. It's more you send one, you send the other. And if there's a third signer, it'll recognize that that element's there for the third signer, and it will show up as buyer signature 3 if that situation is there. It's all that, it's whether there's that element or not. Cool. And that's the process of sending a signature. As you know, if you want to track the progress of your signature request, I'm going to refresh this window on the main screen and you'll see signature request tab. Scroll down and here's Chris Tomlin's signature request that is outbound. Now, if he says he didn't receive it, you can click the green button to resend it, or you can send him the link to the actual signature request and he can start from there instead. There's always ways to get there. Okay. Do I have any questions on signature requests?
Drew,
Yes.
this is Kathy Hughes.
Hey, Kathy.
Hi, I don't have my photo in there yet, but I just got on late through mistakes on the email. But anyway, what if you had people that were using trust names, trust names and people from the trust signing?
It makes sure it's their full, and that's the one thing I've been harped on by brokers. Make sure it's the full legal name of your contact.
And what if they were in trust and you needed to know for sure that they had the power over that trust? Do you need to have that in file before you do this, or can you wait?
I think you need to verify it first, but I would check with a broker for that. I don't think
Okay.
I feel like I'm the contact, but I would assume that you'd have to verify that actual permission.
Okay, thank you.
But of course. All right, let's bring Chris Tomlin's app file back open. So in this situation, we've added our buyer brokerage agreement. We've had it completely filled out. We sent for signatures. We receive it. Good to go. Now, if we're adding 2 documents at one time into our app files, you'll come over to your add forms. An example of this would be to add your purchase and sale along with the financing contingency that you're planning to use. So to do this, I'm going to type in purchase and sale to select my doc to add. And I'm also going to choose a conventional loan. There it goes. I was about to say, slow down there. So now I have my purchase and sale and the loan contingency here. I'm going to add these selected documents together into my AppFiles. All right. So here they are once again on your left side, documents involved in your AppFiles. Okay. One of my absolute favorite parts of AppFiles is the fact that you can import data and move items into your doc so that you don't have to write everything. Okay. So say that Chris Tomlin and I have found a listing that we really like, and he is going to fill in this document. There are 4 different ways to import values into this doc, and they're all very simple, honestly. Every doc will have this yellow button that says import values. When you click this, you have 4 different options, from import from a form, info fields, as we were covering earlier, the lender information, the master buyer template, those kind of items, FMLS, and Georgia MLS. Okay, so let's start with the very first one. We want to not have to fill in everything. So I'm going to click on from a form. Now you'll notice right off the bat, this buyer brokerage that I have with Chris Tomlin that I added earlier has 11 values that I can easily pull into this doc that I don't have to write. So I'm going to choose it, and it's going to verify the values that will be coming into this document and filling in those placeholders. Okay. A lot of this stuff was pre-filled in my form values in the very beginning in my settings. I'm going to hit start import, and I'm going to click done to show what information has populated. So you'll see right off the bat, Harry Norman Realtors has filled in this particular item on this doc as an imported value. Okay, very easy, 2 or 3 clicks, and I've already imported a few items. Another option under the import values is from info fields, my lender information, my master buyer template. I can click on here, and you'll see I have 2 items, my file information, which was the very beginning when I opened the file and I named it, and I said I was the agent and he was the buyer. That's one. And also my master buyer template, the 2 values. Now, if this document had slots for lender information, this would have also been checked and lit up as well as information to pull in. So I'm going to choose these and importing this information into this doc by 2 clicks. Start import. Click done, and those items have been added. Now, the one that really saves time is using your FMLS as an option. So I'm going to import values, and this time I'm going to select the listing that Chris is interested in from FMLS. So I'm going to click on import from FMLS. All I need is I grabbed an example of a listing earlier. Right here, I've got Mockingbird Lane. I'm going to take the FMLS number here, and I'm going to put it in, to this slot and click search for that listing to import the data from FMLS on this listing. You'll see when I click search, Mockingbird Lane populates from Decatur, and I'll hit choose. And then you'll see all of the form values that are going to come into this document from FMLS so that I do not have to fill it in. It's a major time saver. All I have to do is acknowledge that this external information coming in is correct, and I'm going to start import. These are the fields that are coming into my doc, and I hit done. Now, as you scroll through your purchase and sale, you'll see that 119 Mockingbird Lane has now been filled in on this document. All you have left is to fill in the items that weren't imported that need to be filled in. So a couple clicks, you fill in your document so you don't have to write every little thing. That's what importing values is all about. Another real a really important thing to notice is that you can also send documents through each one of these item windows. Up here on the side, you see that it says send via email. You can send this document as a PDF to your contact for proofing. A lot of times agents will send these through here. Please review, let me know what you think, and then you can send the signature request afterwards, and after they've proofed it. All right, do you have any questions currently? I've been bringing in documents that already exist, the add forms. My next is I'm going to be pulling in items that are not in AppFiles from a different resource. Hold up one second. Teaching a class. Gosh, sorry. They're having their Thanksgiving event and they're just literally at my window eating pie. Oh, I love Harry Norman. So I'm going to bring in some documents that are external. An example of this are the documents that are tied to this listing that I'm showing. Oh my gosh. It's very hard to get to these windows. Okay, so obviously 119 Mockingbird Lane has documents that are tied to it. Over here, underneath the photo for the listing, you can grab the documents that were uploaded through Doc Plus and Remind. So I'm going to click on this option and I'm going to download these items because I need them to be pulled into my AppFiles folder. Okay, I went ahead and pre-downloaded these just so they were on my desktop and easy to get, but click download all, extract from the zip folder, and you have those items. Now, the reason why this comes up and why it's so important is you'll need floor plans, you'll need disclosures, legals, lead-based paint, all that. You need it inside the AppFile folder. And so I'm going to show an example. I have them saved on my desktop, and I'm going to use the upload files button right here. And I'm going to upload those documents that I just pulled from FMLS into my AppFile folder so that I have them all in one place. So I'm going to click the browse button. And I believe I have the legal right here. I'm going to grab this item. And what else do I need? All right. So say these are the 3 documents that I pulled from FMLS. I'm going to start the upload. All right. It's going to say that the confirmation for the upload is completed. I'm going to click OK. And now I have my upload documents right here on the left side. Now I recommend renaming them. I'm going to say it over and over again. I've had brokers say, Drew, remind the agents, naming convention is important. Also, every AppFile folder has an email address tied to it right here in the center. The reason why this is super important, if you have someone email you, for instance, floor plans, you can forward that email with that document directly into your AppFiles folder. And it's right here. One thing that you can do that a lot of power users of AppFiles use is they'll edit the email address right here, this blue button, and they'll change the name from 11734 to Chris_Tomlin. And they'll save this inside their phone so they know how to forward any document they need for this transaction into this AppFile folder. Save changes, and here it is. So to clarify, you're working with another side. They have documentation you need to get into AppFiles. You can forward those documents directly into your AppFile using this email address right here. Okay. Checking to see about glazed faces, making sure everybody's doing pretty good. None of y'all had turkey at lunchtime like I had. Oh man. Okay.
Drew,
Just double
I'm sorry.
check.
I keep having questions, but just
Please.
hopefully one more. Can you show us again where you went to click for the Remind files?
Sure, of course. Yeah, I'm in FMLS. The listing that Chris is interested in is right. Let me hide this real quick. If you can, avoid hitting the chat button because I just hit it so I can get to my tabs a little bit easier. So if y'all have any questions, just do exactly what Stuart is doing. I appreciate it. So I'm in FMLS. Here's the listing for Mockingbird Lane. Right below the photo, you'll see there's a documents tab. And that's, you know, disclosures and lead-based paint and sometimes floor plans and all kinds of stuff that people upload into Remind.
Okay.
The good agents have those documents inside of there because they know they need them in there. Let me see, who did I use as an example today? Oh, Bonnie Wolf from InTown, yes. So Bonnie has all of her documents in here. All you have to do is click on this particular link and you'll see the Remind docs that are tied to this listing. I download them, I upload them into my AppFiles folder, or I could have just emailed them straight in too. That email address is amazing to use, but I'm getting them into one place and then I'm going to rename them because it's important to me. I need to make sure everything's named correctly so they're easier to get to. All right.
Thanks, Paul, So I think you meant that it is impossible to get a multi-seater at 8:30.
I think someone needs to be muted.
Question mark. And
Okay, I'm just gonna mute her. Sorry. I need one of those mass mute buttons. I don't know how they do it. Maybe I'm missing something. All right. So now that we've covered docs that are in here, uploading docs from an external source, emailing docs into your AppFiles folder, another thing that you might want to do is add elements to a document. So I'm going to bring up this legal as an example to add elements to a doc. And this is not exactly the best item, but it will at least serve my purpose. Every item and every page that's in here has the option for this edit button. And this edit button is going to convert it so that I can put elements down. For instance, initial fields, signature fields, what's it called? Paragraph options, strike throughs. So I'm going to click the edit button and it's going to convert it because this was an uploaded item. Someone must have just scanned it in. Start conversion. Okay, let me back up just slightly here. Oops. Too many windows. All right. So by clicking the edit button, it converts it and it gives you this toolbar to use on every document. Now you can add a text box by clicking on the text option. Let me scroll up a little bit. You click on text, you put your cursor on the document, you click down, and you can add your text. For instance, you know, Exhibit A. You can increase the size, you can make it bold, you can center align it, and you can create the item. Okay, that's adding that item. Now, if I need to move it, you just need to click on it once to turn it yellow. You can delete it, you can change the properties, and most of all, you can move it to wherever you need to move it and click off. So when you click on it once, it turns it yellow, you can move the item. Okay. Next, you can do a paragraph, checkbox. Let's go ahead and do an initial field. So for the initial field, you have to declare who the person is, what their role is. So say I need to add a buyer initial. I'm going to select buyer initial as the role. I'm going to click place initial, take my cursor over to the document, and I'm going to click down to add that element. Now I can click on it and move it. I can delete it. I can change the properties on it. Same can be done for signatures. Choose the actual role of the actual signature. Click on place. You can also put a display date on it when it's signed. Click down, drop down the signature. Every item has this, every page has this option to add that edit, and you can put it on here. If you need to add a strike through, if you need to add a graphic, this is adding your elements. After you've completed what you need to on adding elements, which I recommend taking a document and practicing putting elements into place, you're just going to close your doc and the elements have been applied to the page.
Excuse me, Drew.
Of course.
Did you omit the date part on purpose?
Did I omit
Or,
it? I just
I'm
chose
old
not to
school
put it.
and that's.
No. You can
That's-
totally add a date and time to it. That's not a problem. I just didn't select that option.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank
No.
you.
Of course. So now that I've clicked off, I've closed it. The actual items have been added as the elements. Do I have any questions about using elements? Every page you're looking for this edit button right here. You can add an item. If you need to add a third signer, this is where you would do this. You would hit the edit button, add the third signer, and move forward. Okay. I'm going to close this out. All right. Another option that you can do using AppFiles is the merging of documents and splitting of documents. So say I need to merge my documents into one place. I can select my first, or actually choose merge paperwork. Here, let me enlarge my screen. I made it a little bit smaller earlier. I can click on merge paperwork. And you'll see here are the items that I can merge together. So say I want to select my purchase and sale, and say I have my exhibits to add. They'll be over here on my right side. Now this isn't permanent. So I'm going to click merge selected items and they'll start processing the converting together. Now I'm left with a 25-page document that has them all combined in one place. Now I know a lot of agents, what they'll do is they'll merge their documents together. And what they'll do is they'll go to actions and they'll make a copy of it. So they'll have a merged version and a split apart document. That is an option for you, for those of you who like that kind of organization skills. I know some office staff members immediately split apart your documents just to check every page. So also, if I need to go ahead and split them apart because I know I'm missing a page, I'm going to hit split forms right here in the center. And I'll select my items and I'll just split them right back apart. And here they are all over my left side. So nothing is permanent. You can merge and split all you'd like. The only thing you really cannot do is delete a document when it's been signed, but you can delete it if it has not been signed. So say I want to merge these docs back together. And the reason why is I want to show y'all how you can move the order of the pages that are within this merged doc. So I'm going to merge the paperwork. And let's see, I'm going to purchase and sale, conventional loan, legal, all my exhibits that come along. So I'm just merging my docs back together. Okay, now they're back in one place again, okay? And say I need to move the order is incorrect of what's in this merged doc. Up here, you'll see there is a Edit Pages tab. When you click on this option, there's two ways of thinking about this. There's segments and there's pages within the segments. So for instance, the purchase and sale and all of its pages, part of the purchase and sale is a segment, okay? And there's pages within the segment. So what I can do is I can change the order of the segment and I can also change the order of the pages within the segment. So I'm going to change the form order. They're out of order. When I do this, here they are. So if, for instance, SPD needs to be higher up, I can click and move them up in whatever order I'd like. And that's a segment of pages. And I can hit Save Changes. So I've moved that segment. Now, for instance, in the purchase and sale, if I have a page that is out of order within that segment, I could choose Organize Pages. And I can move the pages within that segment. So you can be as thorough as you want. This comes up a lot, especially if you're adding, for instance, a special steps secondary page in. Like if you need more special steps, there's an actual page in AppFiles called extra, I believe it's extra special steps or something like that. And you can add a secondary page into your document for more steps. I'll click Save Changes, and now they're in order. Okay. With that in mind, let me go back to my edit fields. One thing I want to cover, of course, special steps. Say you need to fill in a special steps. It's only been about a year and a half since they added this, but when you click on special steps here to fill it in, I know the old way was taking a Word document of special steps you normally use and cutting and pasting them into this. Well, you don't have to do that any longer. We now have this new button right here that says Show. When you click on this, it has a catalog of saved special steps that are covered across the board, you know, from termite bonds to anything else. You can click it in here, type what you're looking for, and you'll have an example of what you need to be added to your doc. So you don't have to copy and paste any longer. So say I select this particular item, I can insert at the beginning or I can insert at the end, and I can stack my special steps into my special steps box. So I'm going to insert at the beginning, and now I have a special step into place. Okay. If I want to, let me thin this out a little bit. I'm going to say, for instance, name this number 1. If I want to add another special step afterwards, I can insert, scroll up here, delete this out. Say, for instance, I just want to grab this one as an example. I can grab this special step and I can insert it at the end after my first special step, just like this. I can number it, number 2, and now I have 2 steps in here. As I said before, if you have several, click this checkbox after, actually it's after you save changes, click this checkbox and add your special steps page into this document. It's just like any other document, like your buyer brokerage agreement. It's literally a page special steps that you would add in if you have more. I'm surprised I didn't get that question yet. Usually that's like the very first question I get when I get into this. What if I have more special steps than what that little window can hold? All right. Do I have any questions about that edit for special steps? Looking at faces real quick. Stuart, you got anything for me? You keep me on my toes. You know that, right?
What do you do?
Sorry?
What do you do to add more use? You said that you would.
Yeah, if you're adding more, you would click on this checkbox that says add additional special steps are attached. And there's an actual add form, and you will find the special steps page. You're adding another page in. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Of course. Especially with the way these contracts have to be written right now, special steps and stuff like that, adding more is becoming very common. All right, so let me make sure I've covered everything. All right, so the last thing that I really would cover at this moment is turning in your documents to your staff members. Now, it is different in every office, I will admit that. But the way I've been told by West Cobb, East Cobb, and a few other offices, this is how they want me to direct this, okay? So if you're turning in, for instance, your buyer brokerage agreement, you would open the document and you would choose this drop down and select, sorry, my mouse just went out. Hold up. Ah, there it goes. Okay. You would select broker docs. And when you select broker docs, it'll give an alert to your staff members, letting them know that you've turned in your buyer brokerage. Now, what I recommend when you change this to broker docs and submit your buyer brokerage, I would follow it up with an update. I would create an update and tell your staff members, hey, I just turned in, oops. Gosh, my typing is terrible today. Send it to your staff members. Let them know that you have done an action because this program is all about your interaction with your staff members. I would choose who I'm sending it to. Let me see if I have an example. I'll just choose myself and I will create the update. So what I've done is I've turned in my buyer brokerage using Broker Docs, and I sent a quick update to my staff member, letting them know it's in there. Now, when I'm actually submitting my contract, I'm going to sorry, this mouse is doing terrible things. I'm going to click edit. Say I've changed this to offer 123 Bay Street. And I would change my status of buyer to new pending to submit my document in, my whole contract in. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow my staff member to know that they can edit and review it and make sure all the documents are in place. That's my submission to my staff member. Now, every office is different. I know some offices have a different term. Rather than new pending, they might have a folder that literally is called turn in to Sarah or whatever. Every office is different. But the way I've been explained, if you're turning in your buyer brokerage, you turn it in as a broker doc. And if you're turning in a contract, this folder, you change it to new pending. And then at the bottom, you click save changes. And that is your submission of your actual offer to your staff members. I know that sounds a little confusing. And I know in 2022, we are going to be streamlining that in a different way. But currently, that is the way they've asked me to instruct how do you submit your documents. So that's a lot to cover. And when it comes to AppFiles, does anyone have any questions? I know that's a lot to digest. I do have short videos. If y'all haven't checked out my YouTube channel, H&R Trainer, I have past videos for all different types of items. I slow it down. I'm also going to be doing segmented videos as well. December, I will be completely overhauling my H&R Trainer YouTube channel. The reason why is I created the H&R Trainer YouTube channel because of what happened with the pandemic. I know y'all are busy. I know y'all couldn't come into the office as much. So I made the channel so y'all had short instructional videos to help you learn programs. So I'm going to be refreshing it in the next month. I'm re-recording most of the videos and adding a lot more. So just keep an eye out for it. This particular class will be added onto the H&R Trainer YouTube tomorrow morning. So keep an eye out if y'all need to go back and review anything. Do I have any questions? Biggest advice, create a test AppFiles folder. Go through the motions, add the documents you need if you're working with a buyer or with a seller, and see what it feels like to put docs into an AppFile folder named after your client. That's what I would recommend. You'll get comfortable with it and you don't have to test it on your actual client.
Okay, well, I have a question.
Of course, Sherry.
What do you mean there'll be a review tomorrow?
Well, the video for this will be added to my H&R Trainer YouTube channel. Here, I'll show you real quick. So if you haven't been to my YouTube channel before, go to youtube.com and on the top line, type in H&R Trainer.
Trainer.
Yep, H&R Trainer, and you will see my channel right off the bat, right here.
Okay, and so tomorrow, click on
Tomorrow
that.
morning, I will upload this class into the Trainer YouTube, and you'll see it. You'll go to the channel. It'll be the very first video right here on the left side.
Okay,
So you can go back and review if there's anything that you may, if I've moved too fast, there's a lot to digest, of course. It's AppFiles. It's a full program, so I understand that. That's why I teach it so frequently. So just know that this class will be in here. If you missed the purchase and sale class, my boss Tori taught, it was really great how to write a purchase and sale. She uses AppFiles for this as well. That's a great class. It's probably one of my favorites. So everything you see and everything we teach is in this channel. Even the stuff that comes from Jenny and Todd, I put in here as well.